Beautiful lovely gamers, my name is Jonal. Today we are starting a new episode of How to Solo Carry. Today we take a look at McCree. This is a series where essentially I will be taking a hero in Overwatch and I will try to explain how to use them best to solo carry and have an impact on the game. There's way too many times that I see people when I private coach them that they don't want to play hero, or they even tell me I'm really good at this hero but I don't want to pay him because he's not meta, and I have to go into a full explanation about why it's good to have different heroes. Today we will take a look at how to play McCree to carry your games in solo queue ranked. Now, before we start this video, a like on the video of course helps against YouTube's abusive algorithms. A comment down below on what hero you want to see in the next episode, so I can kind of get like a feeling for what you guys want to see. Is also very, very much appreciated. And as long as you order before the 19th of December, all private coaching sessions are 40 euros for a 2-hour session, so a 20% discount on private coaching. So if you're interested in that, hit me up on our Discord server, which is linked down below. There's also been doing a giveaway on our Discord server. My Twitter and my Twitch is linked right next to it, so of course you can also give me a follow there. It's very much appreciated. Now, let's talk about McCree. Why isn't McCree played that much or mentioned that much as a solo queue hero in general talked about in Overwatch? That's because he's looked upon as a weaker alternative to better heroes. There are Widowmaker, Ashe, and Hanzo, all of them which have categorized themselves as a better version of McCree. All of them have higher burst damage. Both Widow and Hanzo, of course, can one-shot. They also have better mobility in form of, coach gun, grappling hook, wall climb, and launch. All of them have, in theory, either better damage or can take angles that they can't. So Widowmaker doesn't have more damage than McCree, but both Hanzo has his with his rapid fire, and Ashe has dynamite, which deals far more damage and keeps far more pressure on the enemy's health bar than what you can do with a McCree. And you can argue for which ultimates are better. Most people agree that the Ashe ultimate is really strong and it's much better. Dragon Strikes is also known to be better as it doesn't expose Hanzo and take Hanzo out of the fight after he's used it. And Widowmaker, its ultimate is kind of like, it only really enhances a good Widowmaker, but it's still a pretty strong ultimate compared to what a lot of people look at high noon. But that is why we have to talk about McCree. So, what is the pros of playing McCree? Well, first of all, you can trade super fast. Like the amount of, you have incredibly fast fire, right? And you can deal a high amount of damage in a very short time without committing as a McCree player. And that is one of the things that's really, really strong with him. I'll actually show that right now. So let's just start here. I'm just going to use this as an example because it's right next to the spawn room. So let's just show this. Okay, so if I'm Widow right now, and I want to peek here, and let's say there's a hog, or for some reason, like, I don't want to commit to the peek. Meaning, I don't want to do this, right? That's committing to the peak. I don't want to like go out here. I want to kind of play this corner so I can like shoot, get back behind my cover. I just want to trade without taking damage. For example, if I'm low health, or I just don't want to take the damage, right? Like they have a one shot or a hook, right? So one of the ways you can do this with is you can do like that, right? So I can scope and then I can jump and then I can shoot, right? And this kind of works, but it's really slow. First of all, because I need to do I need to wait for the scope and then I need to time to jump and then I need to kind of slowly peek it. It's predictable. Also, these slow peaks, which you see a lot in low elos, like it is exposing. Like right now, I have exposed my body, so they can see me. Right, they can see me around the corner when I'm peeking it, and I'm peeking very slowly. Right, so and the fire rate is also same goes for Hanzo. Right, you can peek very aggressively with Hanzo. Right, you can do all of this, right, and so on. And you can of course shoot and then launch back if you're really scared. It's a very slow peak because of the fact that you need to draw this bow and shoot and draw the bow and shoot, right? So it's very slow fire rate. Same thing goes for Ashe. While Ashe doesn't get movement penalty and can do the same thing as a Kree can, right? The fire rate is very slow compared to what, if you look at how the Kree can play this, right? How fast the Kree can peek these angles and unpeek them when he wants, right? So you can trade, and choose not to trade. And that's without burning his movement ability on it, right? And that's one of the things that this guy has that none of these other heroes have. He can punish and trade really, really fast. If somebody peeks the Kree for just a second, he can just shoot once and then he's done. He doesn't need to do more. He doesn't need to charge if the same shot was going to be made on a Widowmaker and he's here and there's a guy to pick him. He needs to scope and then shoot, right? Or scope and charge and shoot. Same goes for a Hanzo. If the Hanzo doesn't have his arrow on the string, right? Somebody peeks, he needs to do this, right? And that takes a long time and he can't punish. The same thing goes for an Ashe. All of these can't react to the same speed as a McCree player can on some of these heroes, but also is why he's way better against high mobility heroes. Because if you're playing against a Tracer with a Widow, you need to be a god if he's goes quarter and jump and scope and flick and hit him, right? And same thing you need to do with a Hanzo, same thing you need to do with an Ashe, unless you're trying to shoot, right? And that's what makes them much worse than McCree. McCree doesn't need to do that. McCree can easily track in without this. He can shoot faster and he has movement. The other thing that makes Kree strong is that Kree brings something that none of these brings. While he doesn't bring damage and he doesn't have mobility in the same way that the other heroes have, he brings stability to the main group. And that's because of his flashbang. The McCree flashbang is overpowered as fuck. It's an easy to hit, really good stun, and with the damage of a McCree alone, without his, like, not taking into consideration the fact that his team can follow up on stuns, since he normally plays around his tanks, and the tanks and other DPS can follow up on his stun. If he alone stuns somebody, almost any 200 HP hero that is in range, 200 HP hero or less, even 250 heroes or less, that are in range of his stun, if he hit it, the hero is most likely dead. Either because of 2 headshots, or a headshot body shot, or a Fendi hammer, and those stuns, which are super easy to hit and can bring that much damage, it does that it's really scary to push a McCree. Pushing McCrees are risky compared to if you push a Hanzo or Widowmaker or an Ashe, especially in low elos, because all of these, they can move away from you to have mobility, but there's not much they can do unless they land an insane flick or an insane headshot up close and personal. And again, they have movement penalty while they are doing some of their scopes. And all this kind of stuff is easy punishable, which is not the same as McCree. The same goes if you're playing with your team. If your Ryan needs a stun, because let's say the enemy team Ryan traded better, and you need to slow down their offense, you can stun their Ryan and trade hard on him. You can CC abilities that are important, such as if you're playing against a Hog, for example, it's super easy to play McCree against a Hog, because if you trade with him around the corner, and you do these kind of jiggle peeks around the corner, as soon as he uses take a breather, you just flash him, and all of a sudden, no take a breather, you get 2 free headshots, and you can just continue dinging him. And there's not much the Hog can do about it. Same goes if there's a coalescence, and you can stun it, you can stop the coalescence. And there's so many of these abilities that you can CC and just stop them from working, and then trade really hard damage in on them. 140 headshots, 70 damage body shots with a good fire rate. He's really quick at bursting, and he does that again. No, you can't. If your main group is getting pushed and you're playing Hanzo, there's only one option: hit headshots, get picks, hit rapid fires straight into the body. There's no way you can flash over shields. You can't stop them from moving forward. You can't CC them in any way. You get CC, stable, good, easy to hit CC with good follow-up damage, right? Compared to like a break. If a break stuns somebody, she doesn't do that much damage anymore. But if a Kree stuns somebody, there's a lot of damage on that follow-up. And that's what you play for when you play McCree. It also does that's his weakness. If you waste your flashbang, then you're an easy target, because there goes your entire kind of premise of that hero. Now, the other thing which I see people kind of struggle with is how to use this high noon effectively, and kind of looking upon high noon as a pretty bad ulti. And it is. It's not one of the best, mostly because it makes you move very slow and it makes you very exposed. So in high elos, there's so many things that can stop you. A Wither or a Hanzo or a damage boosted Ashe can easily burn you down, right? Ashe does 170 damage with a headshot. If she's damage boosted by Mercy, she can one tap you, right? Ana sleep darts and Yara volleys, right? There's a lot of things that can kill you if you high noon at the wrong time. But at the same time, it's really strong. So an easy guide to high nooning is that there are 2 ways of burning it, and there's zoning and picks. One of the picks a lot of people don't know is that if you play Pharah or play against the Pharah, and the Pharah uses her rocket boost, as she burns, like let's say she's just hovering over the ground, not too far, right? But as soon as she burns the rocket boost, as long as there's no cover she can hide behind, if you high noon when she burns the rocket boost, you can high noon, she will die. There's no way, she can't get down in time on the ground behind the shield before she dies. The same goes if the Mercy, especially in low elos, you'll see the Pharah will rocket boost, the Mercy will Guardian Angel after, and a lot of time, the Mercy also won't be able to have time to move away from your target, and therefore both of those will die. The other way that you use high noon to get kills are of course in combos, with stuff like Shatter, or in stuff with Graviton Surge, so on that's kind of just follow up ultimates. And the last one is to use them in startup pushes that has been committed. So let's say we're playing here right now on Volskaya, right? You can be on this high ground, you can be wherever you want, right? Let's say the enemy team, and this is very common to see in low elo. I see this every time when I private coach, that if let's say that the enemy team commits with people onto the point, normally the supports also follow, and also the Kree also follows, for example, or whatever. This is why positioning is one of the big things I go over when I private coach, because a lot of people do this wrong. If this McCree now high noons, let's say that he has a barrier, or he's safe, or whatever. If this is an opportunity where McCree can high noon without dying, if he knows that, for example, way over here or way down here with a shield in front of him, right? Then all of these are now caught out here. And even if they stack, like even if the entire enemy team stack, like all 5 players stack behind the Ryan shield, you will just build up damage, that will transfer, so that your shots will break the Ryan shield, because the longer you channel the high noon, the more damage you will deal. You will break the shield and kill people behind it, and there's not much they can do about it. They're kind of caught here, and if you try to move away, they will still die. Compare that to a Dragon Strike. The Dragon Strike would be sent directly on them, but everybody can just move out of the way as they want to without getting punished. But from the ulti itself. Same go with a Bob can easily be isolated or something like that. Or right, with the wall hacks, of course, are something that you can also just outplay by just playing bad shields. Or again, at that point, we're not talking much about then it's more on the Widowmaker skill level, not about the ultimate itself, right? So a high noon can easily be done to deal damage or force people. For example, again, if the Zenyatta hadn't committed all of a sudden, then he couldn't peek anymore. And that's the second point, zoning. Zoning is really good. One of them is this way, right, where you high noon onto people that are already stuck. So some of the team has committed, and the other team are kind of playing behind here, but they want to help, right? So their Ryan, for example, is committed to this side, and he's rolling against your Ryan. You high noon, this Ryan can no longer trade blows because he will die. So now your Ryan can free punch on him. And there's not much the enemy team can do about it. And they all need to stay behind the shield or around this corner, because if they peek, they're peeking your high noon. And there's a big chance they will die at that point, right? The other one is that you can use it to, for example, let's say that your team is either losing a fight or their ultimate's committed. So either the enemy team, for example, was up here in the choke with your team, the enemy team traded hard, your team is getting pushed back. Let's say you were down here with them, you high noon behind your Ryan shield, who's just keeping his shield up at this point. He's getting pushed hard. All of a sudden, this push is stopped. Like, if they try to commit more to the push, there's a big chance that the Ryan will die. If you continue pushing, the enemy, DPSs and Paul will have to try to hide behind cover to kind of stay alive, allowing your team to heal up your Ryan, take positions, either disengage or trade black blows. And again, because you're high nooning and you're high nooning behind your Ryan, you're safe and you're stopping people from moving by zoning them behind cover. Another one is, for example, if your team got shattered, but you were on a high ground, you were up here or over here, and you high noon, again, it's difficult for the Reinhardt to follow up on the shatter, same go for Graviton search, so it's so good to stop ultimate. Same like if Moira starts coalescing on the engage. If you see a Moira coalescing and engage and they start speed boosting, and you just high noon on your high ground, and you're safe, right, you have healers or a Metallic field or something like that, and you high noon, what is the Moira gonna do about it? Like, she's stuck out here, she's committed with an ultimate, and you just stop it by popping your high noon, and it's a super good way to stop these kind of pushes and zone out the enemy team, either by splitting them. Again, somebody commits, you high noon, people cannot help the guy that overcommitted at this point because they have to hide behind cover. All of a sudden they are split, you can easily kill their tanks. Or by shutting down ultimate, stopping pushes that's unfavorable to your team. So it's a really good way to kind of just tell the enemy team to slow the fuck down and get behind cover. So your team, if you just look that your team is losing this team fight, you have bad positioning or whatever, high nooning is a really good way to just give your team a safe space to work with, and then you can restabilize and take this fight one more time where the enemy team have committed abilities or ultimates and so on, if you're not getting picks. Of course, you can also do the really disrespect one if the enemy team is low, or you traded with somebody and it's a difficult shot. High nooning, of course, like shooting a couple body shots and then jumping mid-air and high nooning will quickly, because you're so low, will quickly lock on the Deadeye, and then you can just finish them off with the high noon. It's kind of PM. It's also kind of an easy way to get a couple of kills. Also works really well if a lot of enemies, of course, are low, to use the high noon to quickly just lock onto them and just clean them all up instead of having to hit individual body shots if you're not comfortable with that from a mechanical standpoint. That is McCree. You want to play him around your main group. Taking high grounds, of course, always easy. You have less mobility, but using and getting value out of your flashbang is really important. And understanding how easily you can jiggle peek and peek corners and do quick trades. If you watch people like Wanted, for example, who play a lot of McCree, or at least play some McCree, and he's really good. He's a top 500 McCree player. He does this a lot of time, and he can quickly trade around shields. If an enemy peeks past their shield or peek around their shield, he can quickly like land 140 damage, keep pressure on that guy, force him behind so they can't off angle, because you can easily trade with a lot of people. And again, if people overcommit or push into your team, such as Doomfist, Reapers, Symmetras that has high charge beams to just run at you, Tracers, Genjis, all of these are flashbangs. Immediately you stun them, you kill them, and then they're done. And it makes them difficult for them to push into your tanks or into your team, because you're there ready with a flashbang. So anybody that pushes without being shielded and bubbled and all kind of peeling on them, which doesn't happen that much in solo queue, are easily punished. On top of that, you have Deadeye, which is way stronger than a lot of people think, and this is how you can play McCree. He's not a pick for every single situation. He's not a pick for every single thing, but sometimes you have to pick up a Tracer or a Widow or a Hanzo or somebody else or a Doomfist or a Reaper to level out the playing field, because he's not always playable depending on your team, depending on the enemy team, the map, the situation that you're in. But he's such a good pick to have up your sleeve because he can stop Doomfist and Maze and Reapers and Symmetras and Genjis and Tracers. He can slow them down or stop them. Minkers that are pushing aggressively. All of these are so easily punishable by McCree, and that is the one thing that's really good with him. I hope you guys like this video. A like on the video again helps again and makes me sure that I understand that you guys like the type of content. Tell me down below who you want me to cover. And again, if you wanna improve and rank up the game, doesn't matter if you're bronze or type 100, 40 euros as long as you order until the 19th. Doesn't have to be a session that happens the 19th, but as long as you order before the 19th of December, it's 40 euros for a 2-hour session. I hope I see you in my Discord DMs. As always, guys, happy holidays. I love you guys very much. As always, my name is Jonal. You guys, the positive, and keep the enemy in your closet.